Hi everyone, George here, and welcome to this special video where we take a deep dive into my 108 gallon or 413 litre fully planted Discus Aquascape that's now over 5 months old since original setup. If you're interested in exactly how I aquascape this OASE HighLine 400 aquarium, you can check out the full tutorial video and also a 50-day update video so you can see exactly how this tank has evolved. If you enjoy this video, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I'll be asking a few questions throughout the video, so please answer in the comments if you can. When I started the aquarium hobby almost 20 years ago now, I became aware of Discus after seeing them in various publications, including the cover of the now legendary Bench Aquarium Atlas Volume 2 book. The fish on the cover was in fact the same variety as you see here, brilliant turquoise. I have to say, if I knew back then that I'd be keeping these stunning fish in this particular planted aquascape, I would have been blown away. This thought process is really useful actually, as it fills me with a sense of gratitude, realising just how far I've travelled on this wonderful aquascaping journey. I've quite an obsessive personality, so when I get into something I tend to go all in. So right at the beginning, I began researching Discus in books and online. I printed out all of the articles I could find and read them over and over again. Social media wasn't around back then, and the only online communities were message boards and forums. I had dial-up internet video wasn't really available, and high quality photos were scarce. Nevertheless, I knew back then that one day I would keep a fully planted Discus tank, so here we are now. I've actually kept Discus before, in 2016, in an ADA 120p. Unfortunately, circumstances meant that I had to sell the tank and have the Discus rehomed, which I found surprisingly emotional. I had formed a real bond with the Discus, and it was a sad day when the system was decommissioned. So I made a promise to myself back then that when the time was right, I would set up an even bigger tank for Discus and do them the long-term justice they deserve. And here we are, 5 months later, into fulfilling that promise, and I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to share my Discus fish with you all. So a quick reminder of the kit I'm running on this aquascape for those that haven't seen the previous videos or need a refresher. The aquarium itself is an OASE HighLine 400 that holds 413 litres or 108 US gallons. The exact measurements are shown below. The HighLine range of tanks are premium quality with great build, highly functional and a beautiful design. I realise that the purist aquascapers may prefer a rimless open top aquarium, but in order to prevent the possibility of jumping fish, excess evaporation and consequent hard water marks, humidity buildup and heat loss, I find having a lid very practical. I also enjoy the aesthetic of how the aquascape is framed with the black and silver. For me this comes a close aesthetic second to a rimless tank, but the functionality is my personal preference in favour of having a lid in this case. Do you prefer rimless or lidded tanks? Interested to hear your thoughts. Lighting is provided by two OASE Premium 120 LED units connected to an OASE Easy Aquarium controller, which is linked to my smartphone using the Easy Aquarium Controller app. The LEDs themselves last longer than many other brands because they're not being driven so hard. Heat is effectively dissipated via the heat sinks too, which also helps to prolong their life. The LEDs are arranged in segments that can be individually controlled via the app. The intensity, timing and spectrum are all controllable, so if you wanted to, you could create various effects such as cloud cover, sunrise and sunset. The app also includes preset lighting profiles to simulate various settings such as African, Amazon, community and planted. In here I'm using the default setting, which is a 12-hour photo period with a ramp up and ramp down. Although I have two units, I'm currently only using one in here. This helps to prevent algae, and the easy plants are growing just fine, as you can see. OASE do offer their LED Premium line in various sizes from 440mm up to the largest size, which you can see here, which is 1330mm. They come with various mounting options including a telescopic bar, ceiling suspension kit and a raised bracket for open top tanks. For those that don't wish to use the Easy Aquarium controller, the units can simply be turned on and off using a regular plug-in timer or with the optional infrared controller. Discus are a messy fish and water quality needs to be managed effectively in order to maintain the health of the entire system as well as the Discus themselves. Any excess build-up of waste organics will result in algae issues, poor plant growth and potentially even fish disease. A core component to this is effective mechanical and biological filtration, which is provided by two OASE BioMaster Thermo external canister filters. There's 250 and the 850. The 850 Thermo is plumbed into the aquarium drilled inlet and outlet that fits through the dry weir in the left corner. The dry weir also houses the 250 filter hoses and all of the lighting cables. This allows the aquarium to be fitted right up against my wall, thus saving on living space. For me, the best features of the BioMaster filters are the quick release pre-filters, which can be cleaned in running tap water in minutes. The pre-filter does a great job at trapping all waste, meaning the internals of the main canister don't need cleaning for many months. My record is 24 months, and the filter was still surprisingly clean inside. I do see a lot of videos and commentary on various social networks about the need to replace the supplied filter media with something more fancy, such as Seachem Matrix. I've never experienced the need to do this in all my own setups using BioMasters and those of all my clients, and I've used the supplied media to great effect. In a healthy planted aquarium, the vast majority of the biological filtration is performed by the plant growth anyway. Plants love to use ammonia as a food source, so arguably if your biological media is super efficient, it could be effectively starving your plants of ammonia, their preferred nitrogen source. The filters come supplied with integrated heaters, so these don't look ugly in the Aquascape. I set the temperature to 28 degrees Celsius or 82 Fahrenheit, which seems to be the best balance for the fish and plants. I don't use any chemical media such as carbon or Seachem Purigen, as I find the large weekly water changes and plant growth sufficient to maintain water quality and clarity. Do you use any chemical filtration in your aquascapes? Let me know in the comments. CO2 injection is used to give the plants the best chance of success. Even though all the plants are in Tropica's easy category, they definitely grow better and have more chance to fight off nuisance algae with CO2 injection. I use a premium quality regulator from the US brand Greenleaf Aquariums and a refillable cylinder from Aquarium Gardens. The CO2 is pumped in at around 4 bubbles per second and is attached to an inline diffuser that's fitted to the outlet hose of the BioMaster 850 filter. This produces tiny CO2 microbubbles that fly around the whole tank feeding the plants. The CO2 is on a solenoid that saves on CO2 consumption at night when the plants don't need it. Do you use CO2 injection in your aquascapes? If not, what's stopping you? Really interested to know. The substrate system in here is very simple, just 4 9-litre bags of Tropica aquarium soil. Regular viewers will know I use this substrate in the vast majority of aquascapes I create, for home aquariums or my clients. It's a proven performer and put simply will give your plants a great chance of success, feeding the plant roots and having an overall positive impact on the aquarium system as a whole. It doesn't need capping or any products installing underneath as a base layer. If you wish to add more nutrients to specific plants, you can insert Tropica nutrition capsules near the plant roots. Because there are so many crypts in here, a nutrient-rich substrate is considered a huge advantage, and the Amazon swords in the background also appreciate plenty of nutrients for the roots. What's your go-to substrate choice for your aquascapes? Liquid fertilisers are necessary to feed the plant leaves. In here I use Tropica Specialised nutrition, dosed at 30 ml per day using an P1 auto doser attached to a 5 litre bottle of fertiliser. This is pumped directly into the aquarium using an air line hooked over the dry weir with a glass U-bend. The fertiliser is added a few hours after the lights come on. Specialised nutrition contains every macro and micronutrient necessary for healthy plant growth in one handy bottle. There are many other good quality all-in-one fertilisers available that all work well, so choose what suits your availability and budget. I like to add my fertilisers every day rather than weekly, as I find plants respond better to small daily feeds than one large weekly meal. How do you add your fertilisers? Daily, weekly or another schedule? You can watch exactly how I set up the hardscape and original planting in a step-by-step tutorial video, which I'll leave a link to in the description. I went for a bold design with just wood, shout out to Aquarium Gardens for their support, combined with easy and classic plants from the Tropica range that are known to tolerate warmer water. I wanted to use easy plants so I could also use lower levels of light, which helps to prevent algae. I also avoided stem plants because they are higher maintenance and their finer textured leaves don't suit the bold textures of the fish in my opinion. The Trident fern on the left is a relatively new addition, transferred over from my OASE HighLine 85, that's had a new aquascape recently. As with most of my aquascapes, it's a simple overall composition with distinct foreground, midground and background plants, as well as a strong hardscape with attached epiphytic plants. The variety of crypts form the foreground and midground, and I'm particularly happy with how the crypt parva carpet is maturing. It's the first time I've ever grown one, so I'm very excited. Amazon swords dominate the background and are a great addition to the discus tank in my view. I often get asked why I never use Amazon swords in my scapes, so this one's for you too. I'm really pleased with how the aquascape has developed. I did suffer from a few algae issues and some poorly Amazon sword leaves, but all seems good now. It's a very sustainable layout, where I can simply remove the oldest and ugliest leaves whenever I maintain the tank. This promotes new, fresh and healthy growth, and simultaneously keeps the aquascape in good aesthetic shape. I've dialed in my maintenance schedule into routine daily and weekly activities. Every day I feed the fish 2 to 3 times and use that opportunity to check their health. I clean the glass most days too, because it's so easy with my OASE algae magnet. Cleaning it every day prevents any algae build-up, except for near the soil, so I clean that weekly with my OASE algae scraper during the water change. We also monitor the aquarium temperature regularly using the OASE digital thermometer that's attached to the front right edge of the tank for quick reference. The tank temperature stays at a constant 28 Celsius or 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and when I perform my weekly large water change, I ensure the fresh dechlorinated water is pumped in at the same temperature. The water changes are carried out every Monday, and I also maintain all the other aquariums on the same day, as I find this the most efficient use of my time, and have all my water change equipment and maintenance tools out ready. I perform a running water change, which means the water is simultaneously being siphoned out from one corner of the tank whilst it's being filled with fresh water in the other. I made a comprehensive video on water changes which you can find easily by searching George Farmer water change in the YouTube search bar. The water empties slightly faster than it's being filled, and during this process I maintain all of the plants and clean the glass. I like to stroke all the plants with my fingers to help dislodge any collected waste that's then removed as part of the water change. During the semi-automated water change, I use the opportunity to trim any old and ugly plant leaves and clean both pre-filters with the BioMaster filters, a job that only takes a few minutes. The pre-filters are usually very dirty, showing me that they're doing their job very effectively. I find cleaning them somewhat therapeutic, knowing I've removed all of that trapped waste, helping to maintain good quality and circulation levels. Once the aquarium water is half emptied, I then remove the siphon hose and allow the tank to be filled fully. At this point I add some Ferts Complete Dechlorinator. Once the aquarium is full, I then add some Ferts 360 Sludge and Organic Debris Remover, which is a powerful probiotic blend of live heterotrophic bacteria that digests organic sludge. This helps to minimise any build-up of organic waste, which is helpful with such large and messy fish. Since using it, I've noticed very little detritus build-up amongst the soil, which is surprising given the amount of food that's added in there every day. Do you use any beneficial bacteria products as part of your regular maintenance practice? Let us know in the comments. As mentioned, all of the plants in here are from Tropica and are in their easy category. This means they don't necessarily need CO2 injection, strong lighting or lots of nutrition. However, if there's one top tip I can offer any aquascaper that wishes to achieve optimal plant growth, then they should consider CO2 injection. I have found this produces the best results, even with lower lighting levels, and this combination is awesome for helping to minimise algae growth. For this reason, I usually recommend beginners invest in a decent CO2 injection kit, rather than fancy lighting for instance. A good CO2 regulator should last a lifetime, and is interchangeable for any aquarium. I use greenleaf aquarium regulators, which are the best I've ever tried so far. The plants themselves are all classics, various crypts and Anubias species, Trident fern and Amazon swords. I love these plants. Sure, they're not necessarily fashionable, particularly trendy, but I think they look great and suit this style of aquascape. They're also widely available, so hopefully anyone can achieve a similar look should they so wish. There's a full plant list in the description, and also a full kit list should you wish to replicate this exact system. I've deliberately avoided using stem plants in here. Although they can look great in most aquascapes, I wanted to stick with bolder textures to complement the large fish. Most stem plants are relatively high maintenance too, needing trimming regularly and replanting. Rosette plants like swords and crypts are much lower maintenance and are suited to longer term aquascapes like this one. The same goes for epiphyte plants such as the Trident fern and Anubias, slow growing and easy to maintain. The plants are now at the point where the oldest and ugliest leaves are routinely removed in order to maintain their desired aesthetic, as well as sustaining the plant's long-term health. The main display fish in here, as you can see, are 9 brilliant turquoise discus. I bought them from a UK supplier of Stendker discus, and they're suited to my hard tap water, which is around 400 parts TDS, or totally dissolved solids. These beautiful fish are bred in Germany and are fed on a special frozen beef hot mix called Good Heart. I feed them this 2 to 3 times a day, and although it's a messy food, the fish absolutely love it, with the lemon tetras and amano shrimp being happy to eat any leftovers. Unfortunately, the discus are prone to showing darker colours sometimes. I was originally worried about this, but read it's common with discus in tanks with dark substrate and dark backgrounds. The good news is that they're feeding very well, and this is probably one of the best signs of their overall health. I've accepted that their darker colours show up occasionally, and find their subtle impact more naturalistic on the whole aquascape versus super bright red and bright blue colours. Although the discus are stocked in accordance with the breeder's recommendations, I do think the tank seems a little overcrowded sometimes from an aesthetic point of view. What do you think? Should I get a bigger tank? 50 lemon tetras make up a shoal of ditherfish that add an attractive sense of added movement and complementary colour. 125 amano shrimp help to minimise algae issues, along with 6 nearite snails. We also added a bunch of cherry shrimp a few weeks ago, and have already spotted some shrimplets.